Hey guys, Sandy here, and today I am getting ready to show you my process for the November Oso inspired video collaboration that is hosted here on YouTube, and that is by Call Me Crafty Owl. Now, I've been doing this for a few months and it's been completely awesome. It's been a great team to work with. Everybody has their own take on the inspiration piece that shows up every month in our email box. Now, if you're interested in playing along and you would like to be part of the Oso Inspired YouTube team, the only thing you have to do is check out the link down below. Crafty Owl is actually hosting an open call for collaborators right now. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out. Now, today's design is actually inspired by Lisa, and she created a card that was popped up. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a scrapbooking layout, and since I'm working on my 2016 Girls album, I'm going to be using this photo from World of Disney. And if you didn't know, I kind of have a thing for the Cinderella carriage. Like, I love it. I just think it's beautiful. It just gives me happiness when I see it. So I'm going to use that photo. I've got some scraps of paper that I've pulled from my homemade kit that I've been using. And I've also pulled out some Echo Park dies and stamps. And then some other star dies, and these are from Autumn Leaves and Studio G. There's a Studio G in there too. All right, let's see what I can do. I'm starting off with some white cardstock as my base, and I definitely want to matte my photo for the idea that I have. And at first I thought I would matte it in black, but really that photo has so much black on it, it kind of fades into the black cardstock, and you don't really see the matte. So I pull out this glitter stack that I've had for ages and have barely used because it's glitter paper and it's beautiful and I've been hoarding it. So that's got to stop. So I cut right into it. I'm like, yes, I'm going to throw this 4x6 photo on a 12 by 12 sheet of glitter paper. I'm just going for it. I'm not even going to think about how it's making my heart go pitter-patter. So we get that down and we are good to go. And I like the sparkle around the edge, especially since this is a nighttime photo and the Cinderella carriage is lit up. Now I eyeball this little mark right here, and oh, excuse that, that was a little piece of another ruler that popped out with this Tim Holtz centering ruler. And I never wanted a centering ruler, never thought I would need one. And then this one was on clearance at Michael's for like 99 cents one time, so I picked it up and I really like it. So I erased that little spot, which didn't erase too great, but it's okay because it's all getting covered up. And then I'm just kind of eyeballing some lines, and I'm trying to think like how far I want them to go, because I have this idea in my head that I'm going to stamp on the bottom layers, and I'm going to pop up the other layers with some like pretty pattern papers. And I'm just trying to figure out in my head which way it's going to work the best for me and for the idea I have. So I do this, and I'm just placing my photo there so I can get a visual idea, and I'm seeing it in my head and I'm liking it. And then I am looking at this, figuring out which spaces I want to stamp on and which spaces I don't want to stamp on and I want paper. And I decide that I need one more section because I want it to alternate, and I had an incorrect number of segments to do that. So I just go ahead and basically I cut up this piece of paper into a template. And this was just a cheap sheet of cardstock. It's like really flimsy. And here I am placing the templates on top of my Basil cardstock, and I'm just numbering them in a clockwise direction just in case I forget which piece is which, because I have to look for some papers that are going to fit these templates here. And my original papers that I pulled out, only the pink one fit. So I had to go find some other papers. And here I've already found the papers, and now I'm just going to stamp. Now I'm using this stamp platform from Tim Holtz, and it really stunk because all my black ink pads are pretty dried out. So I did not get the crisp black ink stamping that I normally would have. So my StazOran is almost dead. I have a Memento ink pad, and that is almost dead. And the only other black ink I have is Distress ink from Tim Holtz, and that doesn't give a dark, crisp black image either. So I am like trying to get this to work. I decide that maybe I need to use a roller and get some more pressure on there. It's still not as dark and as crisp as I've stamped before with this background stamp. So I know it can be, and I know if my ink pads were more juicy, I'd definitely be able to get that result I wanted. I'm pretty happy with this result. I mean, I think I want to try this technique again and see what I can do, and maybe go more in a completely starburst pattern instead of just like 3/4 of the way. So we'll see. And I just used that little template right there that stuck to the stamp as a mask because I didn't want the stars to ink up the area where I was going to be inking stars anyway, because it would have been harder to get them to line up. It was okay if it stamped over top of the areas where I was putting the pattern paper, because obviously I was covering them up. And look at that. Look how dull that is. I am like need black ink pads for sure. What's your favorite black ink pad? So normally I use the StazOn or this little Memento like black ink pad, but honestly it's tuxedo black and I really like it. And like I said, when it was wet and juicy, it was great, but it's also kind of small. So I'm thinking I need to upgrade to a larger black ink pad. So need to get on that. So here is the background paper that has been stamped all over with the stars. And I'm just using some craft foam to mount each of these colored patterned pieces of papers that I've done because my stars are all black and white. Now, I had originally thought I was going to put these stars on here with some Versamark ink, and then I was going to emboss them with gold embossing powder. And that's why, like, that whole thing where the carriage photo was on top of a gold glitter sheet, like, it was working in my mind, and I was like, yes, we're going to do lots of sparkle. I could see like the Heidi Swapp color shine on top of it and just looking beautiful, but I'm not even exactly sure why I went with black and white. Yes, I am. I know why, because I found this pattern paper that was a black pattern paper with some white polka dots and some pink florals on it, and I didn't think that the gold would go with it too well. Like, I wasn't convinced that the gold embossed stars in the background would have jived as well. So the gold, that nice 12 by 12 sheet of gold glitter paper that I cut into has now been cut into, and I haven't even used it, and that makes my heart go pitter-patter as well. But I'll get over it, and I'll use it on another project for sure. Now it's out, and it's cut, and it's sitting on my desk staring at me, so it's definitely going to have to be used. Now I'm just putting that foam on all of the pattern paper, and it is not exactly to the edge, but it's pretty close, because I don't want, when this layout goes in the page protector, I don't want it to like bend and be like, dented on some areas. I kind of want it to hold up. You put some time and effort into your pages, and you just want them to hold up. So I'm just doing that now. And have lots of little bits of gray foam all over the place from trimming and getting everything just so. And up there in the center, see how everything does not match up that well. And that's fine. Like if I needed this to be perfect because that join area was going to be seen, then I would have made it perfect, like spent the time to make sure everything was lined up. But I knew that it was going to be underneath of my photo. You weren't going to see it. Nobody's going to know that those points aren't exactly lined up in the center, and I'm okay with covering up. Now I use a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock again, and this is a Bazzill cardstock that's kind of got like a shimmer to it. So love that, and we make that happen. And now I'm just using that fun foam underneath the areas of the photo that are on the stamped part of the paper. Because like I said before, I don't want it to kind of dent down while I am like putting this in my album and the weight is on it. So off camera, I used those Echo Park stamps and dies and stamped and die cut out the castle. Now this was another issue because my ink pads were so dead. I was going to die cut it out of white paper and have the image stamped as black, but really I just used some Versamark on some black paper and cut it out. And I think that works because I did not get the die over the stamped image perfect. And what I probably should have done was die cut out the castle and then stamp the image on it, because with these stamps they are solid. You can't see through them to line them up great. Now this is from Echo Park as well, the sticker sheet, and I pulled out those flowers because it reminded me of the flowers on that black and white pattern paper there. And I just cut that pink one a little bit so I could tuck it, and you wouldn't really see the navy blue flower. You can see like a little piece of it right there, but to me it's not enough to worry about it. Like I'm just going to leave it alone. And I pull out these tags from October Afternoon, these labels, and I've had these for a while, and I actually have 2 sheets of them. And I love them and I love the colors, but I don't use them enough. So I'm just trying to figure out where to put that. And I decide that I'm going to just do some quick and easy journaling on it, and it's going to be down here on the bottom of the page. So I pop this little guy up too because, you know, don't need my label hanging down, dented down onto the bottom. And I'm just messing with these little sticker flowers and trying to figure out exactly where I want them to go. Now I find this little word sticker from a Citrus Twist kit. It's from a previous month's kit, and it says "In love with this," and I thought that was completely appropriate because I am in love with Cinderella Carriage. Like, I just love it. Like, I don't know what it is about it. I just really dig it. Now I was thinking about using these silver-edged freckled fawn stickers because I had pulled off the gold, but I decided not to. They just aren't, like, what I saw in my head was not what came out on the layout, so those go away. Now, you can see that line underneath of the flower and the shop where I did the stamping, and it didn't exactly match up. I'm just going with it. I'm living with it and going with it because the stamping is already kind of darker in some places and lighter in some places because of the state of my ink pads. So I'm just going with it. I'm not going to let it bother me. Now I pull out these Doodlebug sprinkles, and they are black enamel dots with some sparkle in them. So I just put 3 of them on the page, and they are on the center of the flower. So 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom. And I'm just kind of having a look-see through my stuff because there's so much going on with the paper and pattern on this page. I know I don't want to embellish it a lot, but I want a little bit of something, like just a little bit of something else. So that is where I am. I'm kind of looking through my stash, trying to figure out what to do. So I pull out these decorative brads, and most of the time I pull the enamel out of the brad, and that's what I'm doing here. So I put the little geotag on, and at first it's going down here on the bottom, but then I make the decision to place it up here on the top. So he goes up there, and I press him down like really press them down hard a little bit too fast because I do end up moving them. Now these little letter stickers right here are from the Paper Studio, which is Hobby Lobby, and I really like them, and I've used up, I was going to use the black, but I did not have the correct letters for it. I needed an E and I didn't have one, so that wasn't going to work. So I decided to use the white ones, and I used the top of an I for the apostrophe because this set does not have any apostrophes or punctuation in it. Okay, so I'm just going to write in my journaling, and that's going to finish up this page. Thanks so much for checking out the November Oh So Inspired video. Like I said, if you're interested, go ahead and click the link down below, and be sure to check out everybody else's creation from what they were inspired by. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next month.